Hi friends, this is Callie. Thanks so much for joining me today. I've got a fun shaker card using dies and I want to do an inlay technique. I kind of want to show you how I keep all of those pieces together while I color. So you have to keep watching to see. But I've got the lovebirds die and then we're first going to create our shaker window using this etched eucalyptus wreath die. And I'm going to cut that first to create my shaker frame. I'm going to inlay that wreath back in. So what we're going to do is create our frame first, or our shaker window. I have a package of Hero Arts acetate sheets here and they come in 5x7 sheets, so I'm just trimming one down to fit that window. And to adhere that to that card panel, I'm going to go ahead and add some strong double-sided adhesive. I'll remove the backing and then add that square of acetate that's going to cover that window, and that's going to be on the back side of my panel. Okay, so once that window is in place, we're going to go ahead and inlay this eucalyptus wreath back in. So I'm going to use some Simon Says Stamp Craft Tacky glue, and I'm just adding small dabs of glue and making sure that it doesn't ooze out if I have too much. And we're going to go ahead and adhere that to that acetate window. I'm going to leave this white. I want all of the color to be on our lovebirds and in the shaker window later. So I'm just going to lay a heavy acrylic block over that to make sure that it stays down. I'm going to set that to the side while I die cut the lovebirds. Now I want to keep it on my cutting mat just so it stays in place and all of the pieces stay organized for me. And I'm going to inlay any stray pieces after lifting off my die, and then I'm going to use Glad Press and Seal to kind of keep everything together as I pull it off so that I can color with the pieces in its place. Now, in order to do that, I'm using my craft pick because everything kind of wants to hang on to my cutting mat there. And it is a well-loved cutting mat. As you can see, it's pretty old. And so I'm going to flip that over, and to keep all of the pieces together, it's very important that you use some sort of adhesive. I'm just using office tape from Scotch. So I am just adding some to areas that are going to be held together, and I've removed a negative piece right there that you can see, and continuing to add little dabs of tape here and there to keep all of those pieces together. Now, once I have all of those essential pieces adhered together on the back side, I can go ahead and flip it over and remove that Glad Press and Seal and then begin coloring. I'm doing very simple coloring here because it's going to be an inlay. I'm not going to be too particular about the blending, and in some areas I only use one color. So if you want a list of all of the colors, be sure to check out the blog. I'll be linking those in the blog post so you can see exactly what colors I'm using. I wanted my colors to be very springy, so I'm using a combination of pinks, teals, peaches, and then of course there's the natural colors of the branch and some soft greens. Now, as you can see, I'm not being too careful about coloring outside of those lines. I am going to be okay with that because once I'm done coloring, I'm going to lift off the outer negative, and then I'm going to die cut this lovebirds die 3 more times and stack them together for some dimension. And then I will lay it right over the outline of this current colored die. So now I'm adding small dabs of glue again, and then like I said, I've die cut 3 here that I've already stacked off camera, and then that's going to hide all of the imperfections from the coloring. I just thought that that would be the easiest way for me to add color without die cutting a bunch of different cardstocks and ink blending and all that. But if you have a better way of doing this, please let me know in the comments below. Alright, so I can go ahead and adhere this now over that shaker window, but before I do that, I decided to trim down my panel first because you know how I like to mat my card bases. So I'm doing that, cutting a 1/4 inch off all of the sides, and now I'm going to go ahead and adhere the lovebirds to my shaker frame. I'm going to go ahead and use that acrylic block again to hold everything down and make sure it adheres nicely. I'm going to move that aside to work on my card base. We just need a simple card base. It doesn't matter if it's side folding or top folding. Top folding is just what I prefer, so I've scored mine, and we can work on adding some color to that shaker window. I've got some MERMAID LAGOON Distress Oxide ink that I'm going to ink with, and I've got some Pink and Main mini ergonomic blending brushes. I just recently got these because I really liked the sample one that I used a couple of months back. I just had to make the plunge to get them all, and I've labeled a few to make sure that I have a blending brush for each color family. So I have the blue one here, and I've ink blended I'm being careful not to ink blend all the way to the outer edges so that I don't ruin my matting, but if you do and forget, you can always ink blend on a blank panel and then adhere it over that card base. Okay, so now I'm doubling up on my foam tape because I want lots of dimension for my shaker elements, and then I'll trim them down as necessary to add the foam adhesive to that panel so that I can create my shaker window. So once I've added all of my foam adhesive, I can go ahead and add my sequins on top of that card base in that ink blended area, making sure that it's not going to get adhered to any of that foam tape when I flip that panel over and adhere it to the card base. Now that I have my shaker component done, I can go ahead and add the very last element, which is the sentiment strip. So I've got the reverse happy sentiment strips here, and I've chosen my sentiment, which is you and me together. After I trim my sentiment strip, I'm going to use a black Copic marker to hide that white core from the cardstock that it was printed on. I'm adding some foam adhesive now, and then I'll use my T-ruler to help me set that sentiment strip straight on my card. And then that finishes my card for today. I hope you liked this shaker card and the inlay technique that I showed you with the coloring and how to keep it all together. Thank you so much for stopping by today and spending some time with me. I appreciate it so much and hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye everyone!